Hey everyone, we're going to get started in just a few short minutes. Just wanted to welcome everyone to the session. And I wanted to encourage you, let us know where you're calling from in the chat. This is going to be a super interactive session. So if you're a student on campus, if you're an alum out in Mumbai or Shanghai or wherever, let us know where in the world you're calling from. Would love to get a sense of this awesome group right in the chat. We've got Vancouver, North Texas, Jamestown's in the house, Basel, Switzerland, downtown Calgary, Boston, Raleigh, North Carolina, Denver, Colorado. Some folks hanging down in Rochester, first year PhD students, Chicagoans, Bostonians, Washingtonians, pretty much every variety, every flavor of Rochester student and alum in the house today. I love to see that. Thank you so much for joining, everyone.
So welcome everyone to today's exciting career conversation webinar, Job Search 2.0, LinkedIn and ChatGPT Secrets Revealed. I am your host, Michelle Cavalcani, and I'm working in alumni relations on career programs and professional development resources. And we're thrilled to have you with us, both alumni and parents and friends and students, as we explore the changing landscape of hiring in today's competitive job market. Today, we're pleased to have Jeremy Schiefling as our presenter. Jeremy is a seasoned leader with an impressive background, having worked at LinkedIn and Khan Academy, and he has devoted his career to empowering others in their professional journeys. Jeremy has made lasting impressions on countless lives. In this engaging session, Jeremy will guide us through the capabilities of LinkedIn and ChatGPT. But before we dive in, I just wanted to extend our gratitude to the Green Center for Career Education and Connection for co-hosting this event. So make sure you're ready to engage, because I'm pretty sure Jeremy's going to demand it. And also make sure that you bring questions and answer his questions. Jeremy will explain more about the format, so let's get started on transforming your job search experience. And Jeremy, welcome to the University of Rochester and Career Conversation.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you to Becky as well for making this possible. Whether you're a student, whether you're an alum, let's just start by giving some love where love is due. You guys have an amazing team, whether it's the Green Center for students, whether it's Michelle's alumni team for all the amazing alums out there. Please give them the love, especially in this holiday season. And the best way to do that is, of course, the old-fashioned emoji. So make it rain some emoji love right there in the chat for your awesome team. And then, for those who are super excited to dive into all the good stuff today, just know that if you're starting your career, if you're about to pivot your career, we've all been there. Michelle, Becky, and I were chatting before the session that we've had these long, winding careers. As an example, I didn't start my career out here in Silicon Valley. I actually began in Buffalo, New York, where I grew up. I was a kindergarten teacher for a couple years in Brooklyn, and then ultimately made my way west, where I worked at Apple and Google and all these great places. But the reality is that I had two big advantages along the way. The first big advantage is I got a chance to work inside LinkedIn, as Michelle said. The reason that was such a big advantage is that if you've ever applied for a job online and wondered what's going on in that online application black hole, I got to sit inside that black box every day and actually figure out all those insider secrets, which I'm about to share with you. In addition, about 2 years ago, I was working for this guy. And if you recognize his face, put his name into the chat, but chances are you're more likely to recognize his voice because, of course, this is Sal Khan, the founder of Khan Academy and the maker of all those videos on YouTube for learning algebra and calculus and all that good stuff. And he was my boss 2 years ago. Calls me in his office the summer of 2022, says, Jeremy, shut the door. I've got to show you something super top secret. I'm like wondering, what could this be? He says, look at my screen. This is about to change the future of our species. And right there on his screen was ChatGPT 6 months before it launched to the public. And ever since then, we've been trying to figure out how to use these tools to support students, but also to support students who are looking for careers and alumni who are looking for careers. And that's what I've been focused on ever since. So with that focus, what I want to do today is I want to ask three big favors. Number one, I would love for you to answer some pop quizzes. If you're a student, you'll be very used to this. If you're an alum, hopefully it'll be a little nostalgic return to your time at Rochester. Number two, I would love for you to volunteer for some live role plays today. Not only is it a great way to learn, I've got some great incentive, which includes a big choice. If you are selected for a live role play today, I'll offer you either a free copy of my best-selling ChatGPT for Careers book or a free LinkedIn profile makeover straight from the guy who ran LinkedIn's education team. You get that choice just for volunteering. And then third and finally, most importantly, take action. Don't just look at my screen. Don't just listen. Actually make the moves on your side that are going to start getting you access to the best opportunities in the world starting in the new year. So with that in mind, here's the first pop quiz. If you had to guess how many resumes the average recruiter is juggling at any given time, is it A, 100 resumes at once, B, 1,000 resumes at once, or C, a whopping 10,000 resumes all at one time? Come to the chat as fast as possible. Give me an A, a B, or a C. Okay, here we go. Lots of great answers flooding in. We've got Eric saying A, Eric saying B, excuse me, Peter saying B, Sheila saying B, a lot of B's. But here comes Armin with C, 10,000. Armin, if you don't mind unmuting for just one moment, how did you make that wild calculation, Armin? What was behind your answer? And feel free to unmute, Armin. There you go.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've been in the process, and that's what I'm hearing from the recruiters.
Yeah, recruiters are telling you directly, we are deluged, especially now. And so now the big question becomes, if this is true and the data backs it up, the average recruiter has 30 to 40 open jobs to fill, the average job attracts 250 resumes, we got to figure out, how do recruiters deal with this? So specifically, how many seconds are they spending reviewing each of these resumes? A, 6 seconds, B, 25 seconds, or C, a full minute's worth of attention. Now, this is interesting. Michelle and Becky, originally, everyone was all over the place. Now I'm seeing so many A's. Greg is saying A, Griffin is saying A, Anju is saying A. Let's go to Griffin. Griffin, if you don't mind unmuting for one moment, why do you think a recruiter can get through a resume in just 6 seconds?
If I had to venture a guess, it would probably just because they're seeing so many at any one time that they don't typically have a ton of time to devote to every single one. So they've gotten used to giving them a brief skim, finding like the relevant information, and then pretty much moving on to the next one.
That's exactly right, Griffin. Griffin has basically identified the biggest change in recruiting over the last 20 years, and recruiters are becoming more and more like algorithms. They're training their eyes to scan for the most important signals, and that way they can process more resumes than ever. But the reason I share that stat with you is not to freak you out, but to actually give you empathy, to say, hey, it's tough to be a career changer and a job seeker and a student, but it's also tough to be a recruiter. And if you can understand how they do their jobs, you can leverage those insights to get a job of your own. And the first thing that we've got to do is we've got to get real. Because here's what's happened in the last 20 years. Not only have recruiters been deluged with resumes, but a lot of them have even given up on looking through all those resumes because so many of them are irrelevant. And now they've got something better. They can go on LinkedIn, and with one search of their computer, they can search 1 billion profiles around the world to find the perfect talent. So the real question becomes, what the heck are they searching for? Is it A, a certain degree, B, a certain university, or C, a particular job title?
Like that.
So let us know what the answer is right in the chat, A, B, or C. What do you think? Okay, Eric says A. Suki says C. Let's go to Suki. You were one of the many folks who said C. Suki, if you don't mind unmuting for one moment, why is job title so important for recruiters?
Gives you a background in their current experience.
That's right. It says, hey, degree is nice, school is nice, but can you actually do the job, yes or no? I don't have time to fool around. So you nailed it, Suki. And to prove it out to you, I'm now going to show you the most important screen in the entire hiring process that almost no job seeker ever gets to see, because where it's happening is LinkedIn, but it's not the free LinkedIn that you and I can use. Instead, it's LinkedIn Recruiter, a tool that recruiters pay $10,000 per year per seat to access, because here's the truth about the tech industry. You know that Google's kind of a monopoly, Facebook's kind of a monopoly. Well, LinkedIn is the biggest monopoly of them all. There is no other tool in the world that has as much data about every professional, which is why recruiters have to use it and why we have to understand it as job seekers. And as Suki said, the first thing a recruiter always does on this tool is they say, who can do this specific job? So now, to understand how you're doing inside that tool, I want you to do me a big favor. Pull up your LinkedIn profile right now. Whether you spent 10 years making it amazing or you just built it for the first time yesterday, pull up that profile and focus specifically on your headline, that little piece of text right below your name. If you're a student, chances are it's going to say something like student at Rochester, student at the Eastman School. If you're an alum, maybe it's focused on your current job or your last job. My question for everyone is it focused on your next job? The thing that recruiters are looking for right there every single day. And if you're not sure what to list there, because maybe you're a student and you're trying to figure out your perfect path, or maybe you're an alum and you're looking to pivot, if you're having any confusion about finding that ideal path, what I want you to do right now is raise your hand in Zoom. The first person to raise their hand will win a free copy of the book or a free profile makeover and guidance to find your own personal North Star. And our first volunteer today is going to be Mary. So Mary, if you wouldn't mind unmuting, this is Mary B. Feel free to unmute, turn on your webcam, and everyone give Mary so much love for being our awesome first volunteer. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. Mary, tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you in your Rochester journey, student or alum? What are you up to in the world?
I'm an alum. I graduated in 2012 from University of Rochester, and I went to Northwestern, got a PhD in biomedical engineering, and now I'm a
Very cool.
postdoc in Chicago at Rush University.
Oh my goodness, my dad actually went to Rush for med school. That's crazy.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So we've got all these connections, Western New York, Chicago. Now tell me this, as you sort of finish up your postdoc and you're thinking about, hey, do I go into research? Do I go into industry? What's sort of the pathways that are getting you excited, Mary? Or what's the tension or ambiguity that's holding you back?
Yeah, I was thinking about having a career in academia for a long time. And then I had like a recent change of heart, and I'm thinking about switching, like pivoting into industry, looking at something like medical writing or regulatory or product management. But I'm still trying to learn. I don't know a ton about industry, so I'm trying to learn what jobs are out there and like how to even approach this process.
Oh, I love that, Mary. Well, this is the perfect time to actually use ChatGPT. And I know you've probably heard about the dark side of, ChatGPT leads to hallucinations and all that, and we'll get there. But when you're just sort of exploring what's possible, it turns out that ChatGPT is a great place to start because it helps to sort of boil down that ocean of opportunity to something that's really reasonable. So watch this. If we come to ChatGPT and we say, what should I do with my life? And then we put in a big SOS to the world, help. We're going to get a really generic answer, right, Mary? It's going to say, do this, do that, not really helpful, kind of something you could have found on a greeting card, probably. But if you get specific with ChatGPT, now we can get specific answers. So let's start with this. I'm going to give it a little bit about your background, Mary, but I want to know two things in particular about you today. Number one, what are some of your best skills, the things that you're awesome at? And then number two, what are some of your biggest passions? What are you trying to achieve out there in the world?
I'm really passionate about rehabilitation and like mind-body connection, like understanding how physical and mental health interact with each other, and just improving how people move. Like I'm really passionate about movement. And some of my strongest skills are like collaboration, bringing things together. As a biomedical engineer, like we're trained to kind of bridge the gap between engineering and medicine. And I also feel like I'm a pretty strong leader. And also I feel like I have pretty strong writing skills as well.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we're going to start with this as a little dossier just to give ChatGPT something to work with. We're going to say, what are 10 specific job titles in industry that might be a good fit for my skills and interests? And I want everyone to try this. Obviously, root on Mary, give her a lot of love, but give yourself some love too. Because if you plug this in, whether you're a student or an alum, you can start to get really specific about, okay, product manager, for instance. That's one of those things Mary had mentioned. Maybe health systems engineer, clinical research scientist, consultant, innovation manager, all these different ways to build an amazing career around your strengths, around your passions. But even 10 can feel a little overwhelming. So now let's get really specific, Mary. This is where the really good stuff happens. I want you to close your eyes and imagine the life you want for the next 20 years. Don't worry about the specific job title, but tell me what that life looks like in terms of the things that matter, whether it's compensation, work-life balance, travel, social impact? Like what's really important to you at the macro level, not just the micro?
Yeah, I guess like I want to have a good work-life balance, definitely. And then I want to impact patients. I want to be able to see the impact and feel like I'm making a difference in the work that I do.
Oh, I love that. And I think, this is going to be different for every Rochester student, every Rochester alum. But if you can really focus on what's important to you, those North Stars, ChatGPT can at least give you a sense of the trade-offs. No tool, no coach can tell you what to do with your life. Like this is the definitive answer, but they can at least let you say, okay, if I care about work-life balance, if I care about impact, how do I get the right mix? And there's always going to be sacrifices, right? If you're in the corporate wellness space, you might have a better lifestyle, but a little less patient impact. Whereas if you're building the next generation of these amazing devices, you have a lot of impact, but your life is more stressful. So now, of all these 10 roles that are appearing on the screen, Mary, is there one or two that you would like to explore a little further by really getting into a day in the life to really understand what it feels like to do these jobs?
Probably the product manager.
Yeah, beautiful. And obviously, product manager, for those who don't know, is a pretty sexy job. It's that job in the tech industry or any industry, frankly, where you get to work with the engineers and the designers to build out something new. So let's check out what that role is like. But instead of just asking ChatGPT, let's ask some people who actually do that job every day. And it turns out that one of the huge advantages of being a Rochester Yellow Jacket is you've got 70,000 alums on LinkedIn to learn from. So I want everyone to click this link in the chat. This is a little tool that my team built at LinkedIn to help you find the perfect alum. So watch this, Mary. We're going to say, show us people who are product managers in the healthcare space. How does that sound as an initial foray, Mary?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, so run that search, and I want everyone trying this with your own interests, whether it's performing artist or engineer or whatever it is, see what's out there. And it turns out you've got folks all over the world, Mary. You've got them in New York, in Rochester, in California, and they're at Medtronic and startups, all these cool places. What if we were to reach out to someone like, let's do Adarsh over here, senior product manager at Octane. So he's building something exciting in this space. And if we wanted to reach out to him, we're going to hit connect, we're going to hit add a note, but then we run into this big dilemma, Mary. Do you think when we're trying to figure out what to say to a fellow alum, that it might make sense to use ChatGPT to write this message? What's your
Yeah,
instinct?
I think that makes sense.
And a lot of people agree with you. There's only one catch. Let's see what this looks like. If you come to ChatGPT and say, generate a LinkedIn connection request, ChatGPT will do it because it's almost like a genie in the bottle, right? It'll do whatever your wishes are. But tell me this, Mary, as someone who really understands leadership and collaboration, what feels a little bit off about this message? Like maybe it's not actually a human written message, but more a machine generated one.
Um,
I want to hear from everyone in the chat. Feel free to rip this
okay.
message to shreds. What's a little off? But yeah, what's your take, Mary?
Um, I'm not totally sure.
Yeah,
I
so
guess like yeah, I guess yeah, lacks personal connection. I think that that makes sense. It's also pretty long. I don't think I would send a message this long.
right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, obviously, so many problems here. I mean, how many Rochester alums who start every message, I hope you're doing well? Like it literally is every message. Generate a message to a PM at Google. Let's see what ChatGPT comes up with this time. Dun, 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 dun. I hope you're doing well. All of a sudden, put yourself in this product manager's shoes, this alum's shoes, Mary. Adarsh is getting all these messages that all start, I hope you're doing well. What does Adarsh assume about the person who's sending that message?
That is just like a generic message they're sending to a lot of people.
Right? They're not serious. They're not
Yeah.
invested. And if you're going to ask me to spend all of my time helping you, that just feels off kilter. It feels imbalanced. So we've got to do better. And it turns out ChatGPT can be helpful, but instead of using it as a copywriter, we're going to use it as a research assistant. Check this out, Mary. Here's a great hack. If you click on more and then click save to PDF, you can download a little dossier about Adarsh that you can use to help ChatGPT be more personalized, more knowledgeable. And I'll show everyone what this looks like. Kind of an overview of Adarsh's experience all the way back to his time at Rochester. We come right back here and we say, upload that file. And we ask the big question, what are 10 things I have in common with this alum? Because I think the heart of outreach, the heart of building a relationship is finding that Venn diagram overlap. Even if we might come from different backgrounds, different parts of the world, we have all these powerful things in common. Obviously, Rochester, passion for technology, passion for research, all these ways that you can write your own message, but have a little bit of a spark to kick off that conversation. So that's a good way to use ChatGPT the right way. Now, Mary, one last question. When you sit down with Adarsh to have a chat about his career and whether it's a good fit for you, what can you ask him that's kind of like a crystal ball to help you start to predict whether you're going to like his job someday?
I guess what what does his day-to-day job look like?
Get a sense of how it feels to do that job, what the skills are. And then I want to come back to values here, Mary, because I think too often as both students and alums, we throw values out the window because we say, oh, it's a sexy company or a sexy title. We got to know, is it actually getting us what we want in our life? So watch this. Generate 10 questions for Adarsh to help me understand if his career matches my goals and interests. And here's the crazy part. Mary, does ChatGPT already know about your goals and interests?
I guess from earlier because we put them in.
Exactly. Unlike your friends, unlike significant others who sometimes are not always listening as closely as they should be, ChatGPT remembers and says, hey, you told me your goals, you told me your passions. Let's bring it back to that North Star. And you can see here that it's going to get right into the stuff that matters to you. If you care about collaboration, if you care about social impact, if you care about work-life balance, it's going to come with questions that really bring it back to the things that matter for you. And Mary, I've got to give you a free profile makeover or a free copy of the book right after the session because you've just raised the bar for every Rochester alum, every Rochester student. You're not here on this planet or at this school just to check a box. You're here to find the thing that's right for you. So Mary, please do me the honor of shooting me a message on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to hook you up with either.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're
really
awesome,
appreciate
Mary.
it.
You rock the house. Everyone, give it up for Mary, please. She got this session off to a rip-rolling start. So give her some love. Okay, if you've got questions about anything we just covered, whether it's how do I explore different pathways? How do I find the right alum? How do I engage the right way? I want to pause and take those questions. And you can ask questions in two ways. You can either put them right in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I will take those questions live. And Anju, you will absolutely get a recording of the session, but don't go anywhere because as you can see, there are lots of benefits to being a live participant. Great question. Okay, let's go next to Shirley. Shirley, what's on your mind? Feel free to unmute.
Greetings, everyone. This is exciting. Well, I love to build my business. I'm an investment manager, and went to my LinkedIn profile and I did say investment manager at my firm instead of saying I'm a partner, because a partner can be anything. So I wish to build my firm. The most important part is to find partners and find good clients. So how do you get ChatGPT to?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Shirley, I love this because I know there are both students and alumni out there who are saying, well, I'm kind of looking for a job, but really I want to be my own boss. I want to build that financial freedom through entrepreneurship. And it turns out that LinkedIn and ChatGPT are both super powerful for those. I'll show you two things. The first thing I would say is if you've got a specific focus, if you say, I am amazing at investment management, maybe that's your specific skill. If I want to find clients on LinkedIn, what are the best job titles to look for? Because as you're about to see, when you're looking on LinkedIn, it really helps to have keywords. It helps to have that right language to figure out the exact people to look for. Okay, chief investment officer, portfolio manager, financial advisor. So now that I've run that search, I come right back to LinkedIn and watch this. I'm going to show you a little bit of advanced search magic. You go to LinkedIn, you start a new search, and this time I want everyone to get really comfortable with going over to all filters. This is the advanced search button, and scrolling all the way down and putting right here in the title, Chief Investment Officer. You're going to notice that I put it in quotes because I want to search for that whole thing, not some kind of random combination of those things. So I click show results, and now I've got 19,000 CIOs I could be reaching out to. And Shirley, think about it this way. If you want to reach out to these folks on LinkedIn, how amazing would it be if you actually had a Rochester connection to tie you together? So you go over here to all filters, you come over here to school, you put in University of Rochester, and what you will discover is a lot of these folks are Rochester alums. And so when you reach out to Neil or Tim or Craig or Habib, you're not reaching out cold, you're reaching out with the power of Yellow Jackets supporting your success. So bottom line, just a couple little hacks to get you started, Shirley, building your business, growing your client base. Great question, Shirley.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. Okay, so with that said, I think it's time to move on to our next pop quiz. So let's get ready here. Here's the big question. If you were a recruiter and you were searching through 1 billion profiles on LinkedIn, how would you know who was a good fit? Is it A, the classes they took, B, the keywords they listed, or C, the GPA they worked so hard to earn back at Rochester? And I know that A and C are tempting, especially if you're a student, but I'm seeing a lot of B's here, Michelle. Darren says B, Pernille says B, Sheila says B. Let's go to Darren because he was first. Darren, if you don't mind unmuting for one moment, why are keywords like gold for recruiters? So Darren Foreman, just let us know, why are keywords so important? Go for it, Darren. Oh, okay, no worries. Darren can't switch his mic on. That's totally fine. Well, I will explain it, and I will actually do it visually. What I want you to understand is what's happening inside the black box. We've talked about this LinkedIn recruiter screen, but what might not have been obvious is how it makes its judgments. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you now an actual search inside LinkedIn Recruiter to give you a flavor of how that algorithm works. In this example, I'm looking for a project manager with a certain skill set. Look who rises to the top of my screen. Sure enough, they all have the most important keyword, project manager, in their profile. But look where they have it. Not just experience, not just skills. In every single case, they have it in their headline. And that is not an accident or a coincidence. That is by design. Because here's what's going on behind the scenes. LinkedIn search engineers have this really tough job. Every day, every hour, every minute, they've got to break millions of ties because so many people have the same keywords. And the way they do that, clever data scientists that they are, is they assign greater weight to certain sections than others. And it turns out that because your headline is the shortest section on your profile, just 220 characters, it's the hardest to game section on your profile, and it tends to be the most authentic section on your profile, it gets the most weight in the algorithm. And that's where we're going to start with our very next demo, a free profile makeover. Now for this demo, I want to talk to a student. So if you're an alum, hold your hands for 1 second. If you are a student who wants a free profile makeover and a chance to be found for your dream job, raise those hands loud and proud right now. And Daniel B is going to be our first volunteer for this one. So Daniel, if you're willing to turn on your mic, let's do this for the benefit of every student and every alum. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, Jeremy, good morning.
Hey, how are you? Tell us a little bit about
Doing good,
yourself.
thank
What are
you.
you studying at Rochester?
I'm actually studying at Bow Valley College in Calgary, Canada.
Oh,
Software
okay.
development. I'm course in my second year now.
Are you a Rochester alum, Daniel?
No,
No.
Bow
Okay.
Valley College.
Okay. Did you go to Rochester, Daniel?
No, sir.
Okay. So sorry, Daniel. We're going to call on a Rochester student. My apologies. Feel free to keep listening, but we're going to go to Sarah Chen next. My apologies. Let's go to Sarah. Sarah, if you don't mind unmuting, I would love to chat with you. Sarah, are you a Rochester student right now?
Yes, I am.
All right. Beautiful. So Sarah, tell us what you're studying.
I am a double major in psychology and statistics.
Okay, I love it. And so, given that awesome background, which I love, both the sort of the liberal arts and the sort of technical side of things, what are you thinking about? What would you love to be found for right inside this black box?
Like an entry-level statistician.
Oh, I love it. And so when you say statistician, are you thinking like you literally want to be a statistician or you want to be a data analyst or a data scientist? What's that exact sort of focus for you?
Data analyst.
Okay, got it. Just want to make sure about that because here's the critical thing. You're going to just see that the LinkedIn algorithm is not that hard. It's not rocket science, but it is very specific. And so because it's so specific, it's going to see statistician as a very different role than data analyst. Okay, so everyone, do this right now. Do me a huge favor. Come to LinkedIn and put on your recruiter hat. I want you to think as if you were a headhunter for your own talent. What we're going to do is we're going to search for a data analyst the same way that a recruiter at Google or a recruiter at IBM might want someone in that space. Now, Sarah, use your awesome stats background to tell me what all these winners of the LinkedIn lottery have in common. Shripada, Lena, Anahita, Ishika, Rowan, why are they rising to the very top of my screen? And Sarah, just be sure to keep your line unmuted so we can go back and forth really quickly.
Okay, sorry, my internet just glitched.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So yeah, I don't know if you can see my screen right now, Sarah, but of all these people who are rising to the very top, what do they all have in common?
They put data analyst in their headline.
That's exactly right. So if anyone's coming out of the session saying, what did Jeremy say again? How does the algorithm work? You can find out anytime just by running the search yourself. You'll instantly figure out, aha, I'm onto those patterns. So that's step one. Now, step two, Sarah, is do you mind if I pull up your profile, not to criticize it, but to shower it with keyword magic?
Oh, sure, that would be great.
Okay. I love that. And everyone gives Sarah so much love in the chat. You know, it's one thing to raise your hand, but to share your profile with your entire Rochester community, that takes guts. So give Sarah some love for being so brave. Okay, so we're going to pull up Sarah's profile here. There's that awesome profile, stats and psychology. Your graduation is so close, Sarah. You're in the home stretch. But now, even with all this great stuff that you've done at Rochester, why will you not be found for data analyst roles today? What's holding you back, Sarah?
That my headline doesn't specify that.
Exactly. So now, watch this. I'm going to come over to your profile. And don't worry, this is not live on the internet. It's only on my screen. I'm going to call you a data analyst. When you see that title right under your name, does that give you a little bit of imposter syndrome, Sarah? I'm not a data analyst.
Yes, because
And I think everyone feels the same way, whether you're a student starting your career or an alum who's pivoting, moving into a new space feels really scary. But now, here's the big unlock. What single word could I add right here, Sarah, that would make that phrase absolutely true? Any guesses?
Future?
Future, yeah. Or aspiring, says Becky. Lisa says aspiring. Rebecca says aspiring. Watch this. Future data analyst, seeking data analyst roles, exploring data analyst opportunities. Every one of those variations is exactly the same in the mind of the algorithm because it all has the most important keyword inside the most important section. And so bottom line is if you know where you're headed and you know what you want, it would be crazy not to share that with recruiters because that's the exact thing they're looking for. Now, Sarah, you are really lucky as a student, and you may not realize this, because you are a free agent. You can put anything you want in your headline. But Sarah, think about those alumni on the line right now. A lot of them are currently employed, and their bosses don't know that they're looking for a new job. How do you think they could send this signal to recruiters without their bosses finding out? Any guesses?
Oh, I know there's a functionality they can show open to work only to
Oh my
recruiters.
goodness. Sarah, maybe you should work at LinkedIn because you know this stuff cold. This is awesome. It turns out that open to work is the exact signal that recruiters can see on their screen. Let me just show you what it looks like here. I come over here, I show you the full LinkedIn recruiter screen. There is literally a section at the top where they can say, just show me the candidates who are open to work. But here's the thing that a lot of people get confused about, Sarah. When they think about open to work, they think about that green banner, as Sasha said in the chat. And they said, that would definitely get me fired, Jeremy, if I had that on my face. Well, it turns out that there's actually a stealth mode version. And this is for everyone who's not a free agent. If you come to open to work and turn on the recruiters only flavor, it will make sure that only recruiters can see it. And even if you've got a recruiter at your company who's searching for you, they will not be able to see your signal and rat you out to your boss. So bottom line, for anyone who can't change their headline, this is the best workaround. Does that make sense, Sarah?
Yes, that's perfect.
Absolutely. Okay, so bottom line, once you've got that set up, now we've got to face the reality that we're up against. How many people are you competing against, Sarah, who also have data analyst in their headline or somewhere else?
A lot.
A lot, exactly. You don't need to be a statistician to realize this is tough. But it's not just tough for us. Who really doesn't want to read 2 million profiles, Sarah?
Yeah, that's a lot on the brain.
That's right. That's a lot for the recruiter. So now, if you're the recruiter, Sarah, if you're hunting for a data analyst and you don't want to spend the rest of your life reading 2 million profiles, what do you filter for next? What's your next cut on the screen?
Would it be skills?
Yeah, I know I kind of gave that one away, but skills are absolutely critical because anyone can call themselves a data analyst. Relatively few can walk the talk. Show me SQL, show me Python, show me Tableau. Now, Sarah, if I could get you a list of the most important skills straight from the recruiters, would you be interested in seeing that list?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so check this out. It turns out this is not something that's hidden away in some sort of secret box. Instead, recruiters give you these skills every single day right there in the job section. Because inside every job are all the skills that your future boss really needs you to have to make sure you're awesome. And sure enough, Python, SQLs, Pandas, Tableau, all these different things. Now, Sarah, I'm going to be honest with you. Even as someone who writes job descriptions, I hate job descriptions. They're long, they're hard to parse. What if I could just give you a cheat sheet of the most important skills? Would that be even more helpful?
Yes, that would be
Okay,
very efficient.
you got it. Let's make it happen. So here's what I want everyone to do out there. Every student, every alum, grab a job that you're excited about. Doesn't have to be the dream job, but just a job that you might want to apply for. And then meet me back in ChatGPT land. And check this out. For the first time in the history of job seeking, we can level the playing field with the recruiters. We've all heard about the ATS and the black box and all that stuff. Now we've got X-ray vision to see inside. We say, what are the 15 most important skill keywords inside this job description, JD? And I want you all to try this prompt right now. I'm giving it to you right in the chat. And look what ChatGPT can do, Sarah. Within seconds, we now have our marching orders. These are the skills that matter. This is what we must nail to stand out to the recruiter. Now, Sarah, that's the fun step. Are you ready for the slightly scary step? How you're doing on these keywords inside the black box.
All right, bring it on.
Oh, I love that. Okay, everyone, give it up for your amazing student, Sarah. She is bringing the Rochester muscle here. She's ready. And she comes over here. She says, hey, more. I'm going to save my PDF. And by the way, you can do the same thing on your screen. The button is called resources for you, but you can also save it to PDF, or you can grab your resume and then come back for one last prompt. And this is the fun one. Upload from computer. We put in the profile, and now we get our crystal ball. Which of those skills am I missing? We can actually predict whether we're going to get through this black box or not. And check this out, Sarah. It turns out you're doing great on a lot of stuff, but you're missing about 8 of those keywords. Now, Sarah, of these 8 keywords, do you have some experience with statistical methods, predictive models, data pipelines, all this good stuff?
Yes, some
Yeah,
of
I
them,
had a
yeah.
feeling. No one comes out of Rochester from the stats department without having done at least a couple of these things. So now, Sarah, we've got to close the gap. We've got to make sure that the recruiters know that you are as awesome as you know that you are. And that means coming back to your profile. Now, we can't necessarily add all those skills to your headline because it's so limited, but there are 3 other sections that you can absolutely add those skills to. What do you think those sections are, Sarah? Where can we add in all those important skills?
There's the skills section, there's
Yeah,
the about section,
yeah.
and there's just like the experience
Oh my goodness,
section.
Sarah, you just nailed the holy trinity of LinkedIn. The three most important sections beyond your headline are about, experience, and skills. Like I said, Sarah, you might want to consider a job at LinkedIn. Um, that being said, let's take them one by one. We'll start with about because it's at the top. Now, I love that you have an about section, Sarah. So many people don't even have it on LinkedIn, which means they're missing out. But let me help you make the most of it. Instead of just having one paragraph, I want you to make the most of your two key audiences. For the first audience, I want you to flat out tell the recruiter, this is the job that I want, and this is why you can believe me. And then for the algorithm, I want you to give it all the keywords straight from the job description. And if anyone wants to borrow this format, here's the exact template right there in the chat. Feel free to customize as you see fit. That's step one. Now, Sarah, the next thing that I love, and Sarah, we got to confirm, you are not someone that I picked out ahead of time. Is that right, Sarah? You and I are meeting for the very first time.
Yes,
Okay, good, good. I
definitely.
wanted everyone to say, because everyone would say, oh my goodness, Sarah is a plant. Her profile is too perfect. But here's the reality. Sarah, you've done something really important here that most students never do, which is you put your resume bullets into your profile. Why is that so important, Sarah?
I feel like that gives anyone who looks at my profile, um, they will understand what I did.
Yeah. And even before they understand what you did, you can get found, right? If I'm searching for someone
Right.
who's streamlined processes or automated systems, guess what? You get found, but your friend who has a blank LinkedIn profile gets overlooked. And so for everyone out there who has a really great resume on their hard drive that recruiters can't see, but has a blank LinkedIn profile that recruiters are searching 100 million times a day, close the gap. Copy and paste all your resume bullets, all those keywords right where recruiters are looking. So that's number two. And then Sarah, you are rocking your skills section. You've got 60 skills, which is like 55 skills more than most people have. But it turns out that LinkedIn just raised the cap to 100 skills, which means you have 40 blank slots. So Sarah, how long would it take you to come in here and put in all these keywords you're missing right into the skill section? How long would that take you?
Probably under a minute.
Under a minute. And then for the rest of your career, for the next 50 years, you get found for those things even while you're asleep. Does that feel like a good investment of that minute, Sarah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, pretty high ROI, right? So bottom line, Sarah, you've been fabulous. And just like Lisa said, you really need to work for the Career Center, the Green Center, because you could help your classmates a ton. That being said, let me work for you. First things first, I want you to do one last little homework before you graduate, which is to get credit for these skills. And then as soon as you update your profile, let me know, Sarah, and I will come in for a profile makeover all the way from your cover photo down to your recommendations. Okay, Sarah?
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Hey, congrats on graduation. Consider it an early graduation gift, and everyone give it up for Sarah, about to be the newest Yellow Jacket alum. Okay, before we move on to our final topic of the day, if you've got any questions about profiles, whether it's the cover photo or the profile photo or endorsements, happy to take anything on your mind. Just raise your hand if you want to ask the question. Okay, let's see if there are any questions here. Dun, dun, dun. I think there's a question from Lisa. Lisa, feel free to unmute. Let us know what's on your mind.
So the most experience I have is in a role with the industry, and I was chief operating officer for a
Yeah,
foundation that focused in healthcare. And
awesome.
I'm also a sommelier and passionate about
Whoa.
wine. And I'm trying to figure out how to pivot because those skills for a wine company would be really exciting to me, but I don't know how to make things match. I keep getting lots of healthcare and healthcare related
Yeah,
um, conversations happening when I'm like, I want to kind of explore outside that industry. And I'm not
yeah.
sure how to, because it's two sides.
Got it. And so you would like to be a COO in the hospitality or in the wine industry? Is that right, Lisa?
Well, much more like communications
Ah,
director,
okay.
or think like strategic planning for a brand or for a wine retailer versus actually like on the floor and service.
Yeah. Oh, great question. Okay. So Lisa, I love that. You're speaking my love language here. As someone who grew up, going to the ice wine vineyards of Southern Ontario. Now, that being said, I think there's two things you got to keep in mind. Number one is if we go right back to where we started, recruiters spending 6 seconds on your resume or your profile,
Yeah.
no recruiter is going to make sense of your background for you. You've got to
Yeah.
make it make sense for them. And the way you can do that is by reframing your past experience around the world that you want to enter. I'll give you a very personal example. When I was a former kindergarten teacher who wanted to work in the tech marketing world, I realized that saying, hey, I helped a lot of kids, I helped a lot of communities, wasn't going to cut it. So I went back and I reframed everything I had done around the language of that new world. Now, what I didn't have then that you have today is, of course, ChatGPT. Watch what ChatGPT does. You say, suggest 5 specific changes I can make to my CV to make it more relatable to the wine industry. I'll just put in my personal CV just to see how it goes.
Sure.
And one of the really cool things about ChatGPT is that it is a connection engine. It is not limited by saying, oh, you haven't done that job, therefore you're out. It's going to say, you've got experience with consumer behavior. You've got experience with brand development. All of this stuff matters in that space. Here's how to tell that story in a way that's really powerful. So the bottom line for you, Lisa, is don't feel like you're unable to make the switch. Know that if you can tell a really powerful story and tell it the way that you want to tell it, you can absolutely stand out in that new space. Okay, Lisa?
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay, don't forget me when you start that wine business. I want to be the first to know about it. All right. Let's see here. Maybe a couple questions from the chat. Nathan says, I've heard that the open to work banner is not good for senior professionals, even if you're currently unemployed. So Nathan, this is really interesting. As we all know in our society, we are very quick to sort of latch onto rumors. And one rumor that's been out there for a while is that open to work is this badge of shame. It says, oh my goodness, how dare you be unemployed? Well, it turns out when you actually dig into the matter, and I surveyed about 1,000 recruiters about this on LinkedIn, 10% of recruiters will say, oh yeah, it's terrible. 10% of recruiters will say it's great. Now I know who I can focus on. 80% of recruiters say I couldn't care less. So bottom line is this, Nathan. Don't get caught up in all those rumors, all that hype. Just turn on the signal that feels right to you. And again, if you don't want to have the green banner, totally fine. Just turn on the version that is sort of reaching the exact right audience without telling anyone else. Totally your call, Nathan. Won't make a big difference either way. Okay, here we go. Shane's got a good question. How to re-enter the workforce after staying home with kids? How do I deal with that gap? Well, one thing I want to show you, Shane, that I'm really proud of my former LinkedIn colleagues about is they actually have removed a real badge of shame. It used to be that when you had taken time off to take care of your kids, to take care of an elderly parent, to deal with a health crisis, you would have this ugly thing where you would say like freelance or out of work or whatever. There'd be no logo. It would just look really awkward. Versus now you come over here, click the plus icon and add a career break. And when you add this career break, you choose the exact thing. You talk about what you are up to and it looks beautiful. It's beautifully designed and it flows smoothly in the course of your profile. So again, it's not this sore thumb that just sticks out and gets people focusing on the wrong things. So bottom line, check out that tool, Shane, to again, tell your story the way you want. Okay, I know we're running a little short on time and I want to give Michelle a chance to close up the session in a second. So let's do this. Let's move to the final pop quiz and this will be a fun one. At the end of the day, imagine that you have now gone from being the job seeker to the hiring manager. And you are so excited to interview the top 3 candidates until you realize that they are all members of the Simpsons cast. That being said, if you've ever watched The Simpsons and you had to hire one of these characters, would you rather hire A, Homer, B, Lisa, or C, Mr. Burns? And if you've never seen the show, no worries at all. I know it's a little long in the tooth at this point, but I'm curious to see what folks think. I'm seeing a lot of Lisa fans. Darren says B, Anju says B, Sheila says A. Ooh, Sheila, Homer fan. Let's go to Anju. Anju, you said that you really like Lisa, like so many people do. What's behind that Lisa love, Anju?
She just seems easy to get along with, adaptable, and fun to work with.
Yeah, you could probably say the same about Homer, right? Isn't Homer sort of an easygoing guy? Why wouldn't you pick Homer?
A little bit of a doofus, I guess.
That's right. And so what you just hit on, Anju, is the duality that defines all of our human decision making, which is that when sociologists have gone around the world and tried to understand how do we assess each other, how do we decide who's friend or foe, it basically boils down to the 2 things that Anju talked about. Yes, we want someone who's friendly and engaging, who's warm, but they also can't be a doofus. They've got to be competent. And the reason I bring this up is that the final hurdle for all of our job seeking is, of course, the interview. And so often we blow our interviews, even though we'd be perfect for the job, because even if we're focused on competence and what we say, we forget that warmth matters just as much. So to help you ace both what you say and how you say it, I would love one final volunteer. You could be an alum, you could be a student, just raise that hand. And Anju, you have already warmed up the hot seat, so let's do it. Everyone, give a lot of love to Anju. And Anju, thank you so much for volunteering. Okay, so Anju, tell us a bit about yourself. What's your Rochester journey been like so far?
So myself and my whole family are Rochester alums. I did my undergrad in poli-sci, and then I did an MBA through the Simon School in
Oh my
finance and
goodness.
accounting. I'm in Austin, Texas, and I'm currently looking for a job. I actually
Cool.
have an interview tomorrow, but I'm looking for a
Whoa,
job
perfect
as
timing.
either a pricing manager or a senior pricing analyst.
Beautiful. Okay, so you're definitely going to be awesome because you're bringing so much Rochester power to bear. You're going to knock those Texan socks off.
My dad went there, my brother went there.
That is incredible. Is there a term, by the way, for a double Rochester grad, like a double yellow jacket or something like that? Who knows? We got to invent it. If you've got ideas, put it in the chat. For now, let's just help Anju get ready for that interview tomorrow. Now, Anju, when you step into that interview room, I want you to be competent. I want you to be warm. I want you to be the Lisa Simpson of that interview when all your competitors are Mr. Burns or Homer. Now, if we're going to focus on the competence piece first, how could you predict the most likely questions for that interview? How could you read your interviewer's mind and start to understand what they care about? Any guesses?
Just Google top interview questions.
Yeah, you could definitely start with Google. You could start with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But again, you've got a big advantage that we don't often take advantage of, which is you have the job description.
Yes.
And as someone who's written all these job descriptions, I know that a JD is not just an advertisement, it's a cry for help from inside the building saying, Anju, I need a rockstar pricing manager who can do this and this and this. So that's what I'm going to ask you about. So let's do this. Let's start with the job description. So pricing manager job.
So this particular job it's called a senior financial analyst, the one I'm going to interview for, but it has pricing in it. So that's why they selected me, because I do have a strong pricing background. It's a pretty robust job because it's at a smaller company, so you have to do everything.
Cool. And I don't know if we'll be able to find the exact job description because it may be down at this point now that you're interviewing. But let's just grab one of these as an example. So here's a census. We come over here. We got this whole job description. Let's see if we can start to figure out what they actually care about. So we bring it over to ChatGPT and we ask one very simple question. What are the 10 most likely interview questions for this role?
Yeah.
And again, it's going to translate from that hiring manager ease, all those bullet points, to the stuff that they care about in the interview conversation. For example, if the first thing they talk about is Excel, they're going to ask about your Excel experience. If project management is critical, they're going to dig into that. And one thing you're going to get a steady diet of, Anju, no matter where you interview, is behavioral questions. Tell me about a time. Give me an example. If you recall back to your Simon days or even your Rochester undergrad days, do you recall a certain format for answering behavioral questions that tends to be very competent? STAR method, yeah. Can you remind everyone what that STAR method is? What are those 4 things?
Situation, task, action, and result.
Exactly. And so for anyone who has forgotten that, and don't worry, I know it's probably been a bunch of years for a lot of folks.
Hard. It's really hard.
It's really hard.
I've been like sitting, looking at a blank screen, trying to figure out my STAR stories.
That's right. And now I'm so glad you rose your hand there, Anju, because watch this. It turns out that you know STAR, I know STAR, a lot of your classmates know STAR, but who else knows STAR that's not even human?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. Watch this. This is crazy. Generate a STAR answer for number 2 based on my CV, which I already put in there. And then watch what ChatGPT does. It'll take all of your best accomplishments right out of your resume and put them in step by step by step. Situation, task, action, result. It does a really good job of laying out the logic, laying out the flow, which means that you have more time now, not just to root for the University of Rochester, but to actually practice warmth. So now,
how did you add the CV?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I had just pasted it in my personal resume a little bit earlier on.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But obviously you could just paste in your resume or upload the file, whatever's easier for you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's a good way to get organized. Now, here is the ultimate question, the hardest part of the entire job search. When you walk into that interview, Anju, and you feel so cold and nervous on the inside, how do you come across as warm and engaging on the outside?
Eye contact, smile.
Yeah. All these things that we know in our hearts. And yet so many people who know them, intellectually have a hard time delivering them. And I think it goes back to multitasking. Because what do we know from all of our research, Anju, about multitasking in our species? Are humans good at multitasking?
No.
No way. It turns out the research is so clear here
Yeah.
that no matter what we want to tell ourselves, oh, I'm great at multitasking, we suck at it. And what is an interview but a multitasking disaster? You're listening and you're smiling and you're thinking and you're answering. It's just too much. So now, here's how the University of Rochester or the Buffalo Bills get ready to deal with these complex tasks. They automate. They take all these things. So when Josh Allen drops back in the pocket to throw that touchdown pass, he's not thinking about how to throw a football because it's completely automatic for him. Anju, if I could get you automatic, where you're just automatically engaging and warm and awesome in that interview room, would you want to have that on your side?
Of course.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the ultimate interview coach. And it turns out that it is LinkedIn itself. And I know no one knows about this because it's kind of hidden away. But if you come to the job section and then you click on interview prep, there is an interview coach here that will come in and kick your butt until this stuff gets automatic for you. So sure enough, you got all the most likely questions for specific roles. And then for everything that you're going to get ready for, what you're going to do is you're going to practice and get feedback the same way that the Rochester sports teams do. Yeah, right.
And this is not with premium. You can get it with basic LinkedIn.
That's right. This is free. This is available anytime. And here's the really sad thing. This has been out for like 4 years now, but LinkedIn never advertises it because it doesn't make them any money. Classic sort of quandary. So in any case, first thing is you want to see yourself. If you're a Bills player or a Rochester student athlete, you got to see how you're doing. So you have some ability to control your destiny. Number two, you need that really tough coach who says, hey, you were pretty good with your answer, but you spoke way too fast, or you were monotone, or all those ums and likes just killed the warmth. Plus, you can even take the answer. This is going to bring it full circle now. You can share it with a Rochester alum who works inside the company to get their insider feedback. And like I said, this is available right now to everyone out there. So if you've got a big interview tomorrow or after the holiday, get ready for a prime time. Make Rochester proud. And Anju, you've doubly made Rochester proud with all of your awesome degrees and everything you're about to do. So big congrats. And please let me know if I can help out with that makeover or with a free book, okay?
I would love a makeover.
You got it, Anju. Just shoot me a message, all right?
Okay.
Okay, good luck tomorrow. Everyone give Anju lots of love.
Thank you so much. This is fantastic.
Oh, you are amazing. Okay, I know that we're running out of time, so I just want to leave you with 2 final thoughts, which are, number one, I would love to stay in touch with any folks who say, hey, Jeremy, I got a question that we didn't get answered, and I apologize for that. I want to answer your question right after the session or tomorrow morning or a year from now. Whenever I can be of service, let me know. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to stay in touch. And then finally, one last crazy thing is, for all the students out there, just know that anything is possible because I went from being a kindergarten teacher to an intern at Apple. And while I was at Apple, I had this crazy experience. Even though I was way back in the intern cheap seats, I got to be there at the very last presentation that Steve Jobs ever did. And what I saw on that day was this guy who was really sick, really frail, but he didn't stop when he got to the end of his presentation. He kept on going, and he had this one extra slide. He says, I've got one more thing to show you. And he pulls out his iPhone, says, for the first time in the history of our species, I'm going to talk to my computer, and my computer is going to talk back to me. And that was the day, of course, that Siri launched and the beginning of this whole crazy AI revolution. So in honor of that moment, I've got one more thing for you, and I call it ProfileBot 4K. Here's how it works. If you know in your heart what you want to do in the world, where you can do the best work of your life, bring meaning to everyone that you serve, I want you to come here and let them know. Say, hey, I want to be a chief impact officer. I want to drive social impact for tons of people in my community, but I have to tell a story that makes sense, that actually attracts recruiters. And so I focus on my headline. I focus on my about section. I focus on my experience keywords and posts. And I use all these tools to get access to opportunity in the exact place that recruiters are looking, which of course is LinkedIn. So I want you to grab that tool. The link is in the chat, totally free. And then I want you to go out there and I want you to think really hard. With the new year almost on us, what is the goodness that you want to put into the world in the new year? What is that dent in the universe you can make with your incredible skills, your incredible gifts?